Hey there, ho there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Dub and welcome you to another sports catastrophe here. Right. Faked you out, didn't I? Ah, you didn't fake me out. Anyway, welcome to another Degrassism, and today we are taking a look at the class of 2014. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, the largest Degrassi graduating classes of all time within the show. So I talked about the 2006 class, meaning the Page class, 2007, the Emma class, the Darcy class of 2008, the Holly J class of 2011, the 2013 class of Fiona, and now let's take a look at the 2014 class. So 2014 was supposed to kind of be the last year Degrassi was going to happen on our sets and all that. There were rumors that Degrassi was going to be done after the specific season, and then we had that summer movie, and then Tristan said, "You think things are bad now? Wait till the new class comes in." And I'm like, "Are you serious? They're not letting it go?" Because I like the season finale. The season finale, the finally. Anyway, so the class of 2014. Now I goofed up. Like I did a poll about who the top females are, and of course, I put Zoe in, forgetting that Zoe was the class of 2018 or whatever it's called. But regardless, I found some good characters. Now, unlike most of the seasons, except for 2006, I didn't have an honorable mention. And I have a top. I would have a top 6. I would usually do a poll, but because I forgot when after did the female poll, I forgot to add those 3 into with the 3 guys that I picked and then had top 6. But so now I had to do everything by myself. There were 3 honorable mentions to the top 6. Honorable mention number 1 is Becky. Becky was introduced as this conservative Christian who basically did not like anything that ruffled her feathers and all that. She came from a family down in Florida. They came up to Toronto because of Luke being a good hockey player and being brought to being part of the Ice Hounds. And Becky's dad being a minister and all that, I think he got the transfer to Toronto. Regardless, Becky had to go through a lot of things. She actually had an attraction for Adam, which of course ruffled her parents' feathers because, Adam is trans, Becky's straight. Becky wanted to go to a therapy camp to try to convert her back to the way she was. She had feelings for Adam. But then Imogen comes in out of nowhere and tells her, and Jenna, for that matter, come back and tell her that she's doing things wrong. Becky was protesting the Romeo and Jules play and all that. But she finally decided to be she could still be straight laced but understand people's opinions. Becky was of course being involved when her brother Luke was accused of raping Zoe alongside an associate. Becky was pressured by her parents to not incriminate Luke, that she has a family honor and all that. Becky's torn. Becky does testify, but she fingers Luke because Luke tells Becky after he says that I took the fall for you losing our grandmother's ring down the sink. But Becky said no. The next day I decided to confess because that's what I do. And Luke said something to Becky, not realizing that Becky was going to use it against Luke. So Becky gets Luke in trouble and put in juvie. Her parents basically make her persona non grata, but they can't kick her out because it would make the papers, and Becky probably will spill the guts. Becky should have said something about her parents doing perjury and all that. They could have got in trouble. Becky's dad probably would have lost his job as a minister. I think he did, in a sense. But yeah, they make Becky persona non grata. Becky feels like she's in a terrible situation. I just wish she had found someone else to take her in. Yeah, Becky was okay. And speaking of Adam, one of the honorable mentions, I know Adam should have been there, but Adam, I guess in a sense, for me, would have graduated, but he passed away. I know JT was there too, but but Adam, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to make Adam an honorable mention. I'm going to put Adam in the top 6, and I'm going to slide Dallas out of the top 6. So Mike Dallas from Guelph, close to where I am now, Kitchener, was a hockey player, part of the Ice Hounds when they moved in season 12 to Degrassi. and he was a decent player, but he was not really too happy with Cam and how he had a puppy dog relationship with Maya. So he was pushing Cam too hard in a sense. Of course, Cam after Cam's suicide, Dallas was upset over Allie not doing anything about it. Dallas and Allie were going out, by the way, because Mike actually was billeting with the Bendaris, who were allowed to take Mike in for major junior hockey. Mike is Dallas almost jumps off the roof, but thankfully Fiona saves his butt. And then we learned that Dallas has a son with his ex-girlfriend Vanessa, and he stays alive for him. Now Dallas came back as a senior, I guess, to finish out some courses, but Dallas actually did not play on the hockey team. I think, in a sense, people said that he was so upset over how he treated Cam that he just couldn't be that guy anymore. So yeah, so Dallas was a pretty good player, pretty good guy in there, and went to the Nippon Paper Cranes in the Japanese league. And let's have Jenna as the third honorable mention. Jenna was a sweet, bubbly girl. She was introduced in season 9, not season 8, as people think. Season 9, and she swipes Casey from underneath Claire's nose. Claire was trying to mold Casey, a bad boy, into a good guy, kind of what Emma was trying to do with Sean. So anyway, Jenna steals Casey. They get together. Casey impregnates Jenna. Casey's not happy when Jenna on Teen Star announces a pregnancy. Shantae, I think, in a sense, wanted Jenna to say it so that she could get sympathy. Unfortunately, though, it backfires. Jenna is kicked off the show and, well, voted off. She's not too happy. But Casey and Jenna do try to make it work, with Jenna giving birth to baby Ty. Unfortunately, though, Casey has a cheating fit with Marisol. Tyson falls off the change table accidentally, and unfortunately, Jenna and Casey get ridden up. Casey stops being in Jenna's life as he and his mom have to flee their dad, who is getting out of jail. And, Jenna gives up baby Ty to someone else because, motherhood's just not easy. Jenna was okay in a sense. And Jenna had a great relationship with someone else who's in the top 6. I'll get to that when I talk about the guy. I don't know where she ends up going to school. But anyway, yeah. All right, so now it's time for top 6 time. Number 6 on the list is Imogen. Now, I know that this is kind of a bias towards LGBTQ2 plus characters. No, it's not. Imogen, I felt, was okay, but she just seemed to be like one-dimensional. Now, of course, in the mid-2010s is when I stopped watching Degrassi. So I don't know too much, but I know Imogen was gay. She was trying to get Jacqueline, as you know, her girlfriend in season 14 to come out of the closet, but Jack doesn't do it because of fear of her parents getting mad at her. But Imogen had problems with her dad. I think her dad died of like disease or something. I don't know the dog that Fiona Imogen had, but Mr. Tuxedo Pants or something. But it turned out to be one of the famous characters that were better than Radish. Well, anyhow, I feel in a sense that Imogen was okay. Fiona wanted to have a relationship with Imogen. It was a good relationship. Fiona coming to terms with her sexuality. I mean, she wanted to have a relationship with Holly J, but failed miserably. And then now it was Imogen. Fiona and Imogen would have been a great couple, but they were two different classes. And I feel that in a sense, this is like Paige and Alex, because Paige was upper class, Alex wasn't. As in Fiona was and Imogen wasn't. But Imogen was a decent character. Number 5 on the list is Connor. Now, of course, you're thinking, oh, I'm being biased because Connor is autistic, like yours truly, and many people on the Degrassi Reddit. Well, I feel like Connor, in a sense, was a decent character, but at times he just was pushed off to the side. Connor was introduced in season 8 as Snake's godson. Now, contrary to popular belief, Connor being Snake's godson doesn't mean that Connor was related to Snake. Because a godparent is usually someone who is told by, like, a parent like if parents feel like they both die before their children get of age, of adult age, that the godparent will take care of that kid. Well, the godparents will take good care of the kids, once their parents die and all that. It's happened before. And it doesn't mean, well, we know Snake's brother. Snake had a brother, but Snake's brother probably wasn't the one with Connor and all that. Well, if he's gay, then, you usually don't have two male guys. Or you could have like two guys adopt a black kid, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, so my thinking is that, he was friends with someone who was black, maybe BLT and Lucy. Or Lucy in a sense. But yeah. So Connor was introduced as part of the gifted class. In raising and causing a commotion, Connor gets into trouble with his lamp, pissing off Shep, and then him acting out in detention. Yeah, he deserved to get in trouble for what he did. And then Snake tells Claire that Claire's that he suffers from Asperger's syndrome and that he likes routine and all that. And Claire tries to understand Connor's condition and help Connor out, and was upset that Shep refuses to allow Connor back in because Connor is like different. Fortunately, though, that comment gets Shep thrown into sensitivity training. Shep and Snake takes over temporarily and allows Connor to come back to the school because the school were allowed to. Unfortunately, Connor would show autistic behaviors that were terrible, like being obsessed with Love Queen in a game for online gaming, and not knowing that the situation is dangerous and all that. And also, when he was doing the app design for women's clothing, he would steal women's clothing from the gym, from the change room for some strange reason. He could have just asked for it. But yeah, it was his sexual urges. He gets put into a different school by Simpson to control his urges, and Connor is back and he's much calmer. He has a growth spurt. He looks much more handsome and all that. People fell in love with Connor. Connor just couldn't catch a break. Like he was part of the three tenors, TENNERS, with doing a thing with Wesley and Dave, who unfortunately both fell through the cracks. But Connor was okay. Connor had a relationship with Jenna in season 14, and it seemed like a saving grace for both Connor and Jenna. Connor goes to NASA or something. I don't know what Connor does, but he gives that cute proposal to Jenna. So yeah, Connor was a good character. I know I don't rank him that high, but what can I do? Number 4 is Adam. I know it's a little controversial, but I'm going to go with Adam at number 4. Now, Adam was this female to male transgender person, transitioning character who went to Degrassi alongside Drew, his stepbrother. They were both stepbrothers. Of course, Adam was known as Gracie Torres, not Adam Torres. And he was trying to be a boy, I think trying to get fit into Drew. He would fit better in Drew's system. Unfortunately, Adam was under pressure by Audra, or Karen as I call her, to try to change to be a female for the benefit of her mother, aka grandmother, Gracie's grandmother. Now I can understand Audra's poignancy because Audra's like, I want to please my parents. Adam starts to cut himself, and Audra finally soon realizes that she should accept Adam as a boy, and so she does. She does pretty well. Adam seems to be okay. He gets on Dave's nerves, but gets Dave to realize things. Adam has that poignant talk with Eli and Claire in the episode that we've soon learned about Adam being a male instead of being born female, but looked like a man. So he's straight. Both Claire and Eli are okay with it, especially Claire. That was kind of the start of Claire's religious morality going downhill in a sense. She wasn't. It's just the writers, I think, wanted to change her appearance and all that. So anyway, Adam is in a relationship with Becky and Imogen in a sense. So Adam thinks he's with Becky, but he then gets hurt in a texting driving crash. He doesn't die right off the bat, but then he dies in the hospital, and everyone is so sad. Becky's upset over it. I feel like Becky's parents didn't like Becky because she was with Adam, who was a transgender person. So yeah, so Adam was okay. He was a good character. It's like is it a bury your gays trope or something like that for Degrassi? Actually, no, it wasn't because they didn't bury Marco, like kill him off, but they buried Marco in storyline. But yeah, so you know, Adam was a legendary character. And speaking of his stepbrother, that's who's number three, and that's Drew. Now, the reason why Drew I put at number three is because of his prominence. Drew came into Degrassi in season 10. He used to be quarterback of his prep school or whatever and wanted to be quarterback, but Riley stood in his way. Basically, Drew got Riley kicked off the team because of his hazing, and people thought Drew was being homophobic. But Drew said, "No, I'm the quarterback. I wanted to be quarterback. Him being gay was not anything to do with it." You know, Riley hazed Drew and got into deep trouble, and that's when Audra started becoming a giant Karen and demanding Snake make changes or else he's out the door. And of course, Snake grovels at her feet. Well, fuck off. If I were Snake, I would have just quit and leave Audra and just piss off, tell Audra to piss off. And then, Audra would be basically stunned that Snake stood up to her. I'm like, I did not like Snake becoming Raditch and all that because everyone hated on Raditch for his old school philosophy. And then all of a sudden, Snake becomes Raditch. And Snake was the guy, and Snake put Raditch under the microscope in season 4 with the whole Rick situation. He should have learned. He should have learned. Regardless, yeah, Audra, I guess because both Adam and Drew were being mishandled by Snake, it was just an easy solution for her to kick Snake to the curb. And Snake groveled. But anyway, yeah, Drew seemed to be overprotected by Audra. Audra basically protected Drew at every last step. But Drew started dating Bianca for some strange reason. And, Drew tries to prevent Bianca from being assaulted by Asher. No, not Asher. What was the name? I can't remember. I had him. But anyway, Ashton? I don't know. It'll come to me. But Anson, that's it. So Anson, and then Bianca saves Drew from a beating by hitting Anson over the head with a rock and killing him. Drew takes the fall for Bianca, knowing that Bianca has so much to lose and the police would not find her a good person. So he does all that, and then Drew honestly tells Vince to lay off Bianca, even though that Bianca was being with Vince's gang, so that Drew and everyone else wouldn't get hurt. Fortunately, Vince brings a gun to the dance and shoots Adam, whether on purpose or not, I don't know. I think he was aiming for Drew, and then all of a sudden, Drew was upset having his brother shot. Thankfully, Adam survives. And then Audra says, "Oh no, it's all Bianca's fault. You had nothing to do with it." And Drew finally stands up for himself and tells Audra off, saying, "Bianca is going to need help. She's going to need everything. I think we owe it to her to help her out. And I'm sorry. It's my fault." And Audra's shocked, but Audra helps Bianca out. Part of me thinks that Audra helped Bianca out to stick it to Drew for, standing up to her. But anyway, Drew has relationship problems. He suffers a massive concussion and he quits school for some strange reason and tries to do MMA fighting to protect himself from Vince's gang. I mean, nothing wrong with that. And then Drew finally comes back into the picture and, he's with Claire and Drew thinks he impregnated Claire, which accidentally makes Drew and Becky a non-couple because, Becky's grandmother was there and was not happy with Becky dating Drew. It ended up not being Drew's baby. So anyway, Drew was safe for that. And then he went after Becky, did a proposal. She rejected him. And worst of all for Drew is that Pill, who came in as principal for the second half of season 14, told Drew he was not going to come to prom. So Drew, even though he was student council president, stayed home. And when Dallas booked the prom boat too late, 1 year too late, Audra tells Drew to save the prom, and Drew does. He puts on the stuff at the dot because he gets the stuff from the Degrassi school because as student council president, he had the key codes. Pill is pissed off and wants Drew to finger other people. Drew refuses, and then she tells Drew, "You're not going to cross the stage. You'll get your diploma, I'll make sure of that, but you're not crossing the stage, and I have to make sure that I make an example of you for everyone next year." That Pill just, was just priding of her job. Audra is proud of Drew and all that for what he did. And the seniors write on their caps, "We love Drew." And Pill relents, saying that, the school is close knit. Go ahead. And then, Drew's happy. We don't know what will happen to Drew after school happens. And of course, it leads to the question, was this whole Drew hating my Pill one of the reasons why Pill was ejected, was not principal when Degrassi came back in season 15, aka next was season 1? It's possible. It's not the full explanation, but yeah. I think Snake, after the school board found out that Snake was not involved in Degrassi News and was completely clueless by himself, they basically said, Snake's fine. We won't boot. We'll bring him back. But I also think that Audra, who saw the whole thing with Drew and knew that Drew was not lying about Pill's policies, the NAP policy, neural affection policy, being part of it, may have told, well, she is a high-ranking school board member, but she's not the high one. She has enough sway to tell her higher-ups, and I bet she did that, and that was the reason why, even if Snake was not going to be coming back, Pill would not be back herself. Well, she was supposed to be temporary. That's just how I feel. And Drew may have saved Simpson's job. Number 2 is Ali Badari. Ali was introduced in season 8, being the core 4 with Claire, Casey, and Connor. It was supposed to be mirroring Emma, Sean, Manny, and I guess Toby. Well, Toby/JT. But yeah, Ali was Sav's little sister who was embarrassed by her at times. But Ali was trying to sexualize herself and all that, and found Johnny DeMarco, but Johnny used her to send topless pictures around the school. Everyone is upset. Ollie's doing bad at school and all that. She needs to stop sexualizing herself. Ollie gets Holly J to be hated by other people who wanted Johnny DeMarco. But Ollie was living a life that, she would be punished and she would be forced to clean around the house, and basically Sav got to do nothing. It was a double standard. So Sav got their Ollie. And in season 10, Ollie makes up with Drew in the boiler room. Of course, Mrs. Torres is upset because Drew being violated by Ollie forces Ollie into sensitivity courses and all that. And then, Ollie gets booted. Her parents decide to pull her from school and put her in a private school, but then Ollie gets in trouble at the private school for holding someone's cigarette. One of her friends actually uses her to get out of trouble with cigarettes. And the worst part, the Bandaris believe the girl's parents more than Ollie. Ollie tries to get at word, but they won't leave her. They punish her deeply. And then Ollie decides to run away, upset with how she was being treated by her family. Fortunately, though, Ollie is found. Well, Ollie sees Johnny DeMarco at Toronto University, and he tells Ollie, "You can't run away from your problems because Johnny was the victim of having seen his friend Drake Lampley stab JT in the aorta in season 6." So Ollie returns back to her parents, and the family decides to get a clean slate, and the Bandaris are less of a issue. And they're okay with Ollie dating Dave and all that, and Dallas, and even Leo. So Ollie does come back to being a smart girl and get back to it. She had Ivy League potential and all that, and was Claire's best friend at times. So yeah, but the worst part about Ollie was in season 13, after she broke up with Dave, is she sees Leo, this guy from France, and then he gets to the country somehow illegally, I think, and Leo abuses Ollie heavily, and Ollie protects him, but then finally decides to let Leo go because it's not worth it. And they just basically killed her character. But she became a smart girl in season 14 and was headed for Columbia, I think. I can't remember. But number 1, without a doubt, and I know I'll get a lot of freaking hate, but haters gotta hate. It's Claire. Why wouldn't it be Claire? I mean, Claire was the one girl that they basically pinned everything on. The writers gave Claire lots of storylines to fight off, and Aslan Paul should be given an award for handling all this. So anyway, yeah, they wanted to make Claire the new Emma, and a lot of people said, "Oh, Maya's the Emma 2.0," which is false. I mean, Maya sticking her nose into her friend's business was because she was concerned about them, and not Emma making mountains out of molehills. And also, mine wasn't the second one. Claire was made to be Emma 2.0. Anyhow, Claire was this sweet bubbly girl. We met her in season 6, being with Darcy. You know, Darcy is her older sister, and all that, getting involved in a few situations with Darcy. And then season 8, in the first few episodes, we see Darcy with Claire, but then Claire loses Darcy to Africa. Claire is trying to help out. Claire seems to be this religious character, and they say, "Oh, great, here we go again with a religion." And then, Claire has a vibrator from Spike and gets caught with it, and her parents are not too happy. But her parents finally realize that Claire's going to want to know, so they tell Claire to ask any question possible, and they line it up. Claire does the right thing by trying to help Connor out with Connor's issues and all that, and manages to get Principal Shep thrown out of school for a while and put in sensitivity training. And it's like, oh, Claire's going to be the new Emma. She's going to be helpful, and she's going to be likable. Causes? Yeah, right. By season 9, she falls in love with Eli after losing Casey to Jenna. And, they have a kind of a awkward relationship. Some say the early seasons of Claire and Eli's relationship was a whole lot worse than going forward. Fair enough. And, Eli crashing his hearse to try to win Claire's heart, but Claire says, "I can't do this anymore." Coupled with the fact that Claire is losing her family because her dad and mom are divorcing, and Claire's always taught that divorce is not an optional, that Claire runs off to join a weed cult, saying she can't handle the divorce. Fortunately, Helen, aka Claire's mother, said that, you'll come live with me and everything will be fine. And that's kind of when Claire stopped being a religious, high and mighty person. I think because the divorce may have helped her realize that she needs to be likable and all that. So Claire was. So Claire was living with her mom. She was having issues with Eli. For some reason, she flipped out at Eli for forgetting her. 3 months? Did you flip a switch and I mean nothing to you? Like, geez, Claire, you're desperate. Claire was desperate for a guy, kind of like what Emma was in the later parts of Emma's thing. It's such a sense that Claire, dates Jake. Okay, good fit. The worst part is that Claire's mom dates Jake's dad, and when they get engaged and married, that means Claire and Jake can't really be boyfriend girlfriend because it's a family relationship and they're step siblings. But Claire still wants to go through with it. I think she was desperate. She didn't want to be with Eli, and she didn't want anything else to happen. Unfortunately, Claire had a lot of issues. Well, Claire then is with Eli and then with Drew for some strange reason in season 14. It was like weird. But Claire was thrown a lot at her. She was given a cancer scare. She was given cancer by the writer. She was given a relationship with her editor Asher, her co-op guy Asher, who took advantage of Claire, raped her, had sexually assaulted her, and threw Claire off the job when Claire complained. But thankfully, he gets his comeuppance as Claire and someone else get Asher into deep trouble. Yeah, they gave her cancer on her back, and she has to go through chemo. She has to cut her hair and all that. She feels bad, and that's when she and Eli came close together. And then Claire somehow gets pregnant in season 14. And, well, it's not completely true. Like, I know that if you have cancer as a girl, it's harder to have a kid. You can possibly have a kid. It doesn't mean you're able to. But the fact of the matter is that Claire, was impregnated. She thought it was from Drew, but it was from Eli, and everything was going fine. But then she miscarried and all that, probably because of the cancer. I don't know, although it was in remission. Then Claire is upset when Pill tells her that everyone's worried about her because she's heard everything on the cameras, and Claire's like, the cameras are not supposed to have audio. You're supposed to watch them and see if things happen. Then she finally realizes that Pill is spying on everyone. So when she tries to be valedictorian, she tells about Pill's plan. Pill's not too happy, says, "You have a great role of being a politician, but you're not valedictorian." So Claire smashes up the cameras, gets a big suspension from Pill, not an expulsion. I think she just wanted to get rid of Claire. And Claire was upset by it. Claire then doesn't know what to do. She decides to take a gap year, even though that, it doesn't make sense. I think she wanted to be with Eli. It was shocking. And Claire even was talked to by Simpson, who actually attended the graduation ceremony, even though he couldn't take part in it, saying that, I helped your sister Darcy with her problems, and I'm going to Haiti to build a school. Why didn't you go to Haiti to build a school when you were fired a few months prior, Simpson? It would have made so much sense. But anyway, yeah, that's all I've got for this. Thanks for tuning into this 30-minute montage. I'm actually surprised it lasted 30 minutes. I thought it was going to be longer, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm